I can't even be mad at Doug Pederson. Boy, he tried. Self-preservation is at all-time high. We'll talk about it here on Locked On Jaguars.
You are Locked On Jaguars, your daily Jacksonville Jaguars podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Is your team every day here on Locked On Jaguars. We thank you for making us your first listen. As always, we are free to subscribe to wherever you get your podcast. Also, make sure you tap in every single day, whether you watch or listen to podcasts. Find Locked On Jaguars at that location each and every day. Shout out to all of those people who are everydayers here on Locked On Jaguars. You know what you're about to get. You're about to get the good stuff. So let's get right to it. I'm the host, Tony Wiggins of the Locked On Jaguars show. Today, we're going to talk about self-preservation. That's where we're going to end up. And why I ain't mad at nobody for trying to save all of their stuff. Call it insanity. That's what I'm going to talk about in segment 2. Because the first segment, we're going to start out with Doug Pederson talking about continuity. And this is all about the football aspect of continuity. First of all, Doug Pederson is 100% correct from his perspective. I'll get that out of the way. I'll tell you right now, Doug Pederson is 100% correct. He should think that the way to proceed for the Jacksonville Jaguars is just to keep everything together and keep trying. Good for him. He ain't quitting. I'm telling you, you can be right and wrong at the same time, but it just depends on your perspective. And the perspective I'm telling you right now is if I was Doug Pederson, I would feel exactly how he feels. How does he feel? Well, I'll read it for you. Yesterday during the presser was asked about, I can't remember the direct question, but he was asked about basically the frustration of not being able to play the way they wanted to play this year. And they asked him where this season compares in terms of previous seasons, in terms of not meeting expectations. I'm going to quote him and I'm going to read it. And I'm going to try not to cough because I got something going on with me here, but I'm going to quote it. I'm going to read it. Quote, "I'd be lying if I said it didn't bother me. I really felt coming out of camp that we had an opportunity, that we had the makings to be really good, competitive football team. A team," now stop. I'm going to go back to quoting for just a minute, but this is the part that I want y'all to pay attention to that bothers me. It really does. While I understand why he said it, it bothers me. A team, and I'm not saying you're playing for the Super Bowl or anything like that. I don't know what anything like that means, by the way, but I think you're playing for a playoff spot. You're playing for the AFC title. I think you're competitive that way. You're one of the top teams in the AFC, and that was my feeling, and that was our expectation coming out of camp. Stop right there. I want y'all to remember that part because I'm going to come back to it in a little bit, but I'm going to finish reading the rest of it. All right? Bear with me. Then, quote, I'm going back to the quote, "Then to have looked back now to see where we are and the struggles we've had, it's disappointing, and everybody's disappointed. Everybody feels it. Obviously, I'm the one in charge of it. So I might take it harder than others because it feels like that. If you're going to put your hands on something, you want it to be positive. You want to be better than when you started. Do I feel like in 3 years in, I feel like we've created something here that is positive and that is heading in the right direction?" Blank stare. If y'all not watching me, there's a blank stare on my face. They're headed in the right direction. So I'm going to pause on that for just a second. And if you're watching, I'm going to show you. And if not, I'll tell you what I'm going to show. All right. So they're headed in the right direction. They're currently 5th in the draft order. They picked 23rd last year. All right. If you didn't see it, I'll put it up again. If you're not looking, they're 5th. All right. There's only 4 teams in front of them. And one of those teams they beat twice. And had they not beaten that team twice, had only beaten them once, they'd be higher than number 5. So that's the direction that Doug Pederson is talking about this team is headed in. There's more to that quote, but I'm going to park right here. My man came out of camp and said, I thought we'd have a good team. Not that we'd be maybe not competing to go to a Super Bowl or anything like that. First of all, what the hell is not competing to go to a Super Bowl? And what is anything like that? I get if you're saying the only way you're going to make it is you have to make yourself a part of that final 8. And with that final 8, anything's happen. You got to put yourself in position. From that point on, the players take over and whatever happens is going to happen. But you can't get there unless you're a part of that. That's one way to say it. But to say that I was expecting us to compete, but not really for a Super Bowl or anything like that, or whatever the quote said, and I'm paraphrasing it, it bothers me, man, because I told y'all the whole time that there's something that's cool about Doug. There's something that's nice about him, but you start looking for reasons why the people that you lead fail. And I want you to think, would Dan Campbell ever say something like that? Hell, Mike Vrabel ain't even got a job. Tell me, would Mike Vrabel ever say something like that? This is would you ever hear those words come out of Belichick's mouth or Pete Carroll's mouth or Sean Payton? Sean Payton definitely would never say anything like that. There's a bunch of coaches I know that would never say anything like that. You already put a limit and a cap on ideally who your team could be, and then you're disappointed when they're actually what you created because your expectations weren't high enough for them. Doug, you failed these dudes, man. We can talk about being nice all we want to, but when I hear stuff like that, you failed them. And then to say that continuity is the only way you keep it going, I think the way you got to keep this going, that's why you keep playing to figure things out. I think together, go through the good times and go through the bad times. The league can, if you let it. I'm telling you that if you let it, this league can beat you up, right? This league can burn you out. This league it's tough. It's tough to coach. It's tough to play. I choose not to let it. I choose to bring energy every day with the team. I choose to be positive, encouraging, and at the same time, be hard. You've got to show the good. You've got to show the bad, and that's the only way I think we can work our way out of this situation we're in. I tell you what, I'm not interested in y'all working the situation out. I'm not interested in you guys working out. See, this is the part I say we. When I said we, like, where's this mouse in your pocket? Shad Khan, you better not fall for this foolishness. There's no reason for you to sit here and think that in order for us to keep going, that you got to keep them. Why didn't they keep those defensive coaches last year then? Tell me that. If we're going to talk about continuity, by the way, let me give you the definition of continuity, and then I'm going to give you another definition that's going to tell you why that this is all a little bit misleading. Continuity is defined as the unbroken and consistent existence of operation of something over a period of time, like pension rights, right? Or it's the maintenance of continuous action and self-consistent detail in the various scenes of a movie or broadcast. Okay, so continuity means it just keeps going. It just keeps going, all right? Let me tell you what this is going to make us sound like. I'm going to read this definition, but I'm going to give you the definition that a lot of other people have given it, right? Insanity. A state of mental derangement or illness, usually excluding dementia. It's not a technical term used in medicine, right? Someone being legally responsible for their actions. This could be due to a lack of understanding or unsoundness of mind. It can also refer to a lack of legal capacity, blah, blah, blah. Well, let me tell you what it means in football terms and in sports. Insanity means doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. And that is what Doug Pederson is telling y'all that needs to happen. And continuity, that's the wrong word. And I'll tell you why it'd be absolutely insane to bring him back at this point. I was going to give him a little bit of grace, but I can't because now I'm hearing the weakness of this team come out of his mouth. We'll talk about that more here on Locked On NFL. Today's show is sponsored and brought to you by Rocket Money. That's right. Did Rocket Money help you find any subscriptions that you were paying for twice in the past, if you've ever used them? Because I know you've used them by now. You heard me talk about them. Well, it happened to me. I had a few subscriptions. I was actually paying for twice, and then it was stuff that I no longer use. Rocket Money found that for me and made it easy to track them all down. It's like having a personal assistant in your finances, man. And you can who doesn't need a personal assistant sometimes? Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. It brings everything together in one place, whether it's subscriptions, your spending habits, or even goals you want to hit this year. For me, it was one of the best features ever. My wife was really, really happy that I was able to save money because we found all of these apps and all of these subscriptions that I was no longer using, and we got rid of them. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/locked-on today. That's rocketmoney.com/locked-on. rocketmoney.com/locked-on. All right, rolling along here on Locked On Jaguars, where it's your team every day. We always thank you for making us your first listen. I was going to talk today about Fred Taylor being one of the 15 finalists of the Hall of Fame. We're going to do that tomorrow on New Year's Day, because hopefully a New Year's resolution will be those people see the error of their ways in the past and put Freddie T in the Hall of Fame. But I got to get on Doug Pederson today. I got to continue to talk about Doug Pederson, because I wait for people to finally open up and be transparent. So I don't want to knock them for their transparency at all. Doug Pederson spoke yesterday via Zoom, and I actually read back through the transcripts, and I couldn't believe what I saw. I just couldn't believe it. If you let them talk enough, you can be like that detective on Menace Society and say, see, you messed up, didn't you? You messed up. I gave the benefit of the doubt all year, and I beat up Trent Balky. And I'm not going to tell you that I'm going to let off a Trent Balky. He's still going to get beat up, because I think everybody is the problem, right? But to a degree, now y'all knock on wood now, because y'all about to hear it. You ready? To a degree, I actually can now see why this team is soft. All that being nice, all that, I don't care, man. Y'all shouldn't care. What y'all got to understand is you don't have to be evil. Like, I think Jim Harbaugh is a nice man, but I don't think he's evil. I think Kevin O'Connell's a nice guy. But that side of it isn't the cause of the play, but that side of it also doesn't trump the other part of it, of what you're supposed to be and what you're supposed to do. Coaching is about leadership. And I'm not saying Doug is not a good leader. What I am telling you is this. I don't think he's a good leader compared to the other people that are leading their teams. And those are the people that you have to be. You ever notice that the Jaguars play exactly like he talks? Has that ever, it might have just hit me today. That when I hear him talk, I honestly see why they play the way that they play. It just bothers me that this dude thinks that continuity is the word that he should be using right now. Yeah, I'm going to tell you about some continuity. Continuity is doing the same thing the same way all the time, whether you win or lose. That's not a good thing. It's not good to be a continuous loser. It's not good to have continuity of doing the same piss poor bad things. It's not good to have continuity of standing in front of a microphone and not being able to tell people exactly why your team didn't play well, other than the fact that, well, we practiced. We just got to stop making the same mistakes. It doesn't sound like there's any coincidence, not coincidence. It doesn't sound like there's any consequences for the mistakes. It doesn't sound like people believe anything negative is going to happen other than folks going to talk about them, and all they got to do is just not pay attention to social media. Where's the pride? Where's the pride? This didn't go the right way. That's obvious. We made some miscalculations, not only on players, but coaches, and also on where we were. The hard reality is we now know where we are, and no one knows that better than us. And we feel like we're equipped to get us out of it. And there's going to be a lot of change. That's the thing, man. That's what you say. You don't come out here and pacify people the way you pacified that team all year, and then they play like they got a binky in their mouth when they're out there on the field playing. Come on. It ain't their fault. It's yours. And he admitted that it's his, but it sounds like it's just coach speak. This is where I get angry. I'm not mad at him. I'm just mad at it. Because I know now that it ain't going to work, and I cannot believe that I'm sitting here thinking that I hope Shad doesn't fall for this foolishness. And I know y'all are too. And he just, if I'm Trent Balky and I'm trying to separate myself from all of this stuff, he probably just gave Trent the ammunition he needs. Hey, you see that? That's what I'm talking about, man. I keep telling this dude, man, you gotta light fire under him. That's why I'm on the field. That's why I'm in the locker room. That's why I say and do the things and how I act, because I know he's not getting it done. I'm telling you, self-preservation is alive and well, and people that try to self-preserve usually end up fueling and feeding other people that try to self-preserve. This is exactly what I'm talking about. They're talking to now, he's questioning their mode of communication. Oh, really? Oh, really? Mr. Rogers? Come on, man. Come on. Nobody wants to sit here and hear about how tough the NFL is. Yeah, it's tough compared to me standing up in the barbershop for 34 years. It might not be tough when I was in the military, but that's a whole nother thing. But we ain't comparing that to what it is and how tough it is to play. We all know that. We're just comparing it to the fact that all the other 31 teams are playing tough too, because y'all are playing each other and you don't hear them complaining about how tough it is. Come on, bruh. What is wrong? It's hard. It's tough. You know what? Then let somebody else do it, Mr. Rogers, and go live your life on your pension and all the money you made coaching and playing, and enjoy yourself and have a good time. I don't blame you, because I'm doing it. Hell, call me. I'll come with you. But I just don't want you coaching my football team with that attitude. It's tough, man. What if I told my kids, man, life tough, man. Life hard. No, life is tough. And if you're going to get devoured if you don't grow some skin. What you going to do? Figure it out. I can't help you. All I can do is tell you. You want to figure it out, I'll show you what to do. You do this, and this, and then you still going to have to go through some stuff, but at least then you'll be equipped to run right through it. Damn it, I want to eat some kneecaps, and this dude is sitting here telling us life is tough, football is tough, and y'all wonder why they losing. You see, with some people, you can get away with saying stuff and just making it sound sweet. We don't play that around here on Locked On Jaguars, man. We don't play that. We see what you're saying, and we see what you're not saying. We see how you're saying it, and we're going to tell the people, man, wake up, man. Don't fall for that foolishness. And I don't think he has any bad intention. I think he's right. I think Doug Pederson believes if you just keep letting him move and go, he's going to figure out a way to get it right, because he wants to, and he's a real nice man and a good guy. I'm going to ask this question. When you let those coaches last year go and you got worse, how do you think they feel right now? There's no sympathy. There's no self-preservation for them. Why should there be sympathy and self-preservation for Doug Pederson, who let those guys go and actually got worse? It doesn't make any sense to me for everybody to sit here and start trying to look at this thing sensibly. If you're watching, look at this. Look at your screen right now. Look at where they're picking. They're number 5. That's right. That's the only sense you need to make out of this, that the Jaguars are terrible and new leadership is needed. But it doesn't mean that the person that you need to be firing is a bad person. No, he's a great guy. Talk more about this in the third and final segment here on Locked On Jaguars. Third and final segment here on Locked On Jaguars, where it's your team every day. We thank you for making us your first listen. Let's not get it twisted. I think Doug Pederson is right coming from his perspective. He's supposed to feel and talk about this situation with the Jaguars exactly the way he's talking about it. I probably wouldn't say it the same way, but I'd probably be saying a lot of the same things. How do you come up and stand in front of a microphone and tell people I failed? You can't. They already know it. But you're not supposed to say that. You don't shovel poop on yourself. You get up there and you say, yeah, man, we made some mistakes, man. I want to see it through. I want to get this right. I want to fix this. Fixing is what he was supposed to do when he got here in 2021. And it looked like he did. But then this season, without catastrophic injuries really being, even though they had some injuries and even though Trevor Lawrence didn't finish the season, this season was going this way when they didn't have injuries and when Trevor Lawrence was healthy, right? So they didn't really fix it. They jerry-rigged it and repaired it to the point where it got it to its destination. But now they want to tell you that they can totally rebuild the engine when that's what they should have been doing in the first place. No, you take your duct tape, your pepper that you're trying to put in my radiator, and all of those little tricks that those shade tree mechanics teach you. You take all of that stuff and go. They need somebody in here who can really fix this. You don't get a chance to fix it when you repaired it when we told you to fix it in the first place. It's time for me to take it somewhere else. And thinking that the only resolution to this is continuity is silly. And I'm going to say this, and I'm going to just say it. I'm going to just try to keep it as real as I can. When you got hired to coach the Eagles, where's the continuity for the coach that you replaced? When you got hired to replace Urban Meyer, where was the continuity for a coach that you replaced then? See, this is the thing. You make statements like that, and then people get a chance to come back on you and say, well, somebody lost their quote-unquote continuity when you got your job, right? So at your opening press conference, why didn't you say, hey, continuity? No, you know what? At your opening press conference, that's when you were supposed to quote-unquote fix it. You haven't. At all. So now I think you can't. You telling me you need more time. Everybody needs more time for everything. It's like letting a barber cut your hair and he's messy up. Say, no, man, just let me get a little bit more. No, you're going to keep pushing that line back. You can't do it. Just admit you can't do it. Move out of the way and let somebody else get it and start all over. Cut it off. Cut all the hair off. I'm figuratively looking in my head like, okay, I should take my clippers down to stadium and tell all the employees in the building, line up. We give you military buzz cuts. We cutting all your hair off. We ain't fixing no bad haircuts. Everybody's getting on the floor and out the door. Everybody's getting a buzz cut. They cut 100 of us when I was in the Air Force in 10 minutes. That means they spent about a minute on everybody's head or less than a minute. That's what you're getting. That's what this organization needs. This organization needs a buzz cut. No guards. None of that. No attachments. Just get that 000 blade, snap it on there, and run through the whole organization and just give them all a buzz cut. Everybody looking like an inmate. Everybody looking like they're in boot camp. That's what this organization needs. Start it over, man. Don't be around here trying to fix nothing. What are y'all talking about? You trying to... We need more time to fix it. No, you don't, man. You ain't going to do nothing but screw it up worse than it already is. Shad, please don't fall for this. Move on. Move on. Whatever you do. But I ain't mad at Doug. I know it sounds like I am, but I'm not. I'm actually entertained, man, because, this is where sometimes we look at it as conflict, but it's not. Somebody is doing what they're supposed to do and saying exactly what they're supposed to say for themselves. And it's not like I think he's being selfish. I actually think he believes it. He didn't want to be in this situation. Doug Pederson didn't want to be fighting for his job after 3 years. Man, the man was doing the best he absolutely could. I think he was. If he wasn't, then you can be angry at him. I am not angry because I absolutely think the best that Doug Pederson can do is what he actually did. Him and Trent Balky, they should be applauded. They go to work every day. They've earned their money. They have done the absolute best that they can do. Here's my issue. That ain't good enough, and we know it. They don't. They're not supposed to because it's their effort. They're supposed to be the competitors that believe that they can just keep pushing and keep chomping and keep going and keep chopping wood. They're not supposed to quit. Doug Pederson looked like Ray Gibson looking up saying, he still ain't getting my cornbread. And I applaud that. I love it, man. That's what I'm talking about. But you still got to do the rest of your time. And the time is up here in Jacksonville, bro. That's just it. It should be. Will Shad fall for the continuity talk? Now, just think. Now, there have been people that are well respected that says one of the things about Jacksonville is they ain't physical. They told you they weren't as physical as they needed to be 2 years into this rebuild. They told you they weren't physical. How they gonna get more physical in 1 year if they ain't done it in 3? How? I don't get it. I don't understand. I'll never get it. And I know it sounds like I'm just trying to give people pink slips. No, I'm just trying to make sense out of why you'll keep somebody that wants to continue doing what they've been doing. And what you've been doing is inadequate. It's not good enough. And you just gonna keep going, right? Okay. So you can be right. Two people can be right about the same thing. Doug Pederson is absolutely right about the position he's taking. He should. He's a competitor. He's not lying. I think he believes it. I think his self-belief is where it is supposed to be. But just because you believe something is why, and anybody that knows me knows I'm consistent with this. Just because you believe or want something to happen, don't believe it's going to happen. You got to actually go out and do it and be functional and then have answers. Doug Pederson, in my opinion, has more questions about his own stuff than he has answers. And to me, that's the problem. When your questions outweigh your answers, then you need to go find an answer, man. And I don't think Doug Pederson is that. All right, man, tune in on Locked On NFL. New Year's show tomorrow. I'll talk about Fred Taylor being one of the 15 finalists for the Hall of Fame. And we'll try to do my best to make my case for him. You guys take care. Thanks for joining me here today. We'll see you next time on Locked On Jaguars.